every single time I forget that's there until I hit the go live button. So I am going to check YouTube, make sure we're up there. And anyway, so I thought it was going to be the fish hour to say I don't really play horror. I don't do horror. However, from a person who doesn't do horror and I don't like any of it, these two game series got me. Dead Space was one
Yeah.
of them. Dark Pictures Anthology was the other.
Mhm.
Uh, and and then I just really fit in because a lot of the games that they talked about, I was like, oh yeah, I played that too. That was amazing. Uh, Be awesome together. That's the name of this show. Uh, Cause had a meeting tonight, so unfortunately, I don't have producer Cause to hang with me. And
I have YouTube open. If you ever need somebody just to jump in with a question, I can do that.
it okay, it does say live.
There you go.
Cool, got it. We're out. Cool. That's all I needed to see was that we were live. Okay. Right. You know what? I haven't even practiced anything, but let's see. We are talking about taking your skills and flipping them into digital media. And
Hmm.
vice versa. Okay. Are you tired of being awesome alone? Well, so am I. Tyra's out sick, but I'm going to take some skills and turn them into some awesome sauce. Let's be awesome together. Oh, hello, everybody. It is an awesome Tuesday night. And like I said in the intro there, Tyra is sick. We're wishing her well soon. But we have brought our semi-regular pinch hitter in one day to be super doctor Elaine Venter.
Super doctor. Yeah,
Super.
okay. Yeah, sure. I'm not you're not making me do another. I will never you cannot make me do another doctorate. Absolutely not. One is enough.
You would think, I would think, but I've definitely heard of people who did not agree with that sentiment.
Good for them. I wish them well. I wish them the best. It is not me.
Eh,
One gave me enough PTSD to deal with for the next several years.
yeah, well, I never made it past associate, so there's that.
And you're still kicking butt.
I know, and I make it look good.
Yeah,
So
you do.
tonight, Lynn and I did talk about this a little bit earlier. We are going to talk about uh, her students were concerned with the only skills they have were like waitressing and food services and so jobs that you have going into college, right?
Yep.
How do we turn that into social media, digital media skills? And that is something we're going to tackle. But
Yes.
before we actually, and I made sure to get another professor to try to keep me on track. Although she is the super caffeinated energy bunny, energizer bunny. Um, I don't know. I think you're gonna be just as distracted as I am.
I think yeah, no, Tyra is probably gonna be super upset about like you're supposed to be able to handle them. No, ma'am, you're running the wrong one.
We would, and so we had like a whole 20-minute good talk for before this show. So we're finally going to put something on Patreon. So if you go to patreon.com/be awesome together, it was fantastic. All right, shelf watch. Shelf watching be the thing that you're working on or the thing that you're super stoked about. So, Venter, what is on your shelf tonight?
So from the last time appeared on, I had mentioned and we had talked about this empty space that it existed right here. And for those who did watch that episode, you will see that now it is no longer empty.
It
That
is
is
not.
not a real person. But if it does start moving, I am spooping my pants so hard and I am out of here. I will not even out of this chair. I am out of this room. I am out of this stratosphere, is what will happen. So far, it hasn't happened, but I'm
So,
watching it.
Venter has a sassy a mannequin behind her with the armor that she made for Dragon Con herself.
Well, I didn't make it. I will say this. My friend, he the Cryptid Armory, he helped me make it. He's actually a former student who I found out that he does 3D printing, and he actually gave me that mini one
Okay, yeah.
as a gift after our first semester because he knew that I really liked Destiny 2 and The Mandalorian, and there was Kevin Rages, who's the artist who actually is a fan artist who designed this look, and so he made that, and from then it kind of like it awakened something in me, and I just knew my first cosplay ever had to be that Mandalorian armor. And finally, for this Dragon Con, he's like, "Yeah, I can help you. We can bring this to life." And so he helped me. He printed all the armor. He helped me. I got to be there though because he lives here, so I got to go to his place sometimes and check out his process and all that. That was super cool. And we did. The cool thing is when you have someone who's helping you with the printing, if you don't have it, versus buying it someone online, is you can go in for fittings, and that was really useful to be able to go in. And so that was cool. I bought the armor, the Under Armour soft parts from UMB Leather. That did a really shout out to UMB Leather. They did a really fantastic job. Like this looked so good, so good. I was not. I don't consider myself a vain human being necessarily, but let me tell you, when I first put the soft parts on, I was staring myself at the mirror for a good while in a way that I like, oh, what is this? There's just is it something about suddenly you're a bounty hunter and now you get like this whole new energy with you, but something like really like embodied inside you. And once it was done and we were done, I just could not think about putting this in a box and
Yeah.
storage. And I just said, no, I gotta put it out. And so that's what has happened. And I think it looks crazy. It's ridiculous. My parents are sitting there going, "What have we? What like we have? We're nerds, but how did this super nerd like come out of us?" And uh, they love it though. They think it's hilarious and whatnot. When they come over here, they're gonna tease the living crap out of me. My students have had a good time with it. I do announcement videos and sometimes videos, and I played a little game with them too. I gave them extra credit for this one week. I was like, if you can notice what's new about this week from last week's setup, I'll give you an amount of extra credit. But they had to like email me pictures of it. Oh, I got some great responses. One student posted a photo of it, and then she posted a photo of an elephant that said, "Be aware of me." I'm like, the elephant in the room. Ha 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 ha. Now I'm tempted to give that student just 5 points extra credit instead of the 2, I promise, because that was just next level funny. So yes, technically not on the shelf, but on a shelf.
Yes.
So shelf watch.
Um, I don't know what the rules are, but if you are allowed to, you should absolutely enter into Alcon this year for the costume contest.
I'll have to I'll have to check it out and see because it is mostly made except for the belt and the Under Armour. Those were purchased, but everything else um made. So the next goal would be to actually make a set of armor myself, which he said he would help me with as well. Like, but paint new sets, whatnot. So this is definitely like this is an awakening. This is next level, baby. Next level.
You've got a little less than a year to get ready for Dragon Con.
I know. It's
Well,
already not enough time.
not to stress you out there. But I
Are we
did
already on Con Crunch?
yeah, you blink, we'll be there. Yeah, we still can't get a volunteer meeting lined up because we're all juggling. But I'll try to pull that trigger again soon.
We'll get there.
But my shelf watch is something that I can celebrate. That is, I just came back from my very first multiverse convention in Atlanta, and for 6 years I've tried to get in there and been denied. And this year, I talked about it earlier on a few shows that I got into the learn track. I got to get
Yeah.
in. Say, hey, I'm going to teach podcasting on an academic area. And I honestly, I did kind of picture a little miniature TED Talk stage, like not a huge one, but like a little KSU. I'll be in front of the class with a light on me, kind of deal.
Yeah. The yellow and black stage, all of that, right?
Yeah,
Instead
blue
of
lighting.
TED, right? Instead of TED, it says hooty hoo.
Yeah. And it was just, of course, it was a regular hotel conference room. so I don't even know what I was thinking about the presentation. But yeah, no, it was fun. And I got to do some other cool things. But the biggest thing is it was mostly strangers. I knew a few people there, but mostly all new people that I'm interacting with and talking to and sitting around. And the first night, Bob Magoo and Bill Meeks or Ben Meeks, not Bill, but he didn't watch the show. I don't care. I can call him Bobby Meeks all I want.
Check he watched this. Check he's gonna post a comment afterwards like, ooh.
Tyra and her husband, some other people were all there. And it was just kind of the cool kids table. Stories are flying,
Yeah.
hilarious is happening, this, that, and the other. And then the next night, I had signed up. So one of the really cool things that Multiverse does is they send you like, I'm exaggerating, but only a little bit, like a 50-page survey to fill out. And that's what Tyra was like, oh my God, it's so much like, but I loved every second of it because
Yeah.
it's like, okay, we have a learn track. This is what
Mhm.
it is. This is how you do it. Do. And then you fill out any information you can there. Okay. Now we have a horror track. And here's all the different horror topics. And that's how I
Yeah.
ended up on a gaming one. Cause like, oh, I could talk about horror gaming like Dead Space and the Dark Pictures Anthology. Um, and so it was great because you can really kind of get a feel for what the con's going to be,
Yeah.
and if you really fit or not. And then you actually write in some answers, so then
Mhm.
they can see if you fit or not. And it was a really, really smart process. Um, but they have a play track, which I ended up sitting in on most. I was on 2 panels there, oddly
Yeah.
enough. The first night was teaching people how to play poker, and
What?
yeah. Hey, Air Station. Boo. I'm trying to say it like Tyra for you. Uh, uh, and okay, taking a step back, I'd gone to Southern Fried Gaming Expo, and they had a game room, of course. Not
Yeah.
Southern Fried, it was a different one. Stellar Fest, Stellar Fest, and they had a gaming room. And in that gaming room, like any other, you check out board games and this and that, but they had times where like, okay, at this table over here from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., we're going to teach a game. So you can come
Yeah.
and play and learn how to play it. I just kind of thought it was that. So it's like poker, dead man's hand is what it's called. Like, I'll learn whatever that is. Well, it really was me and Mark Gunn and another guy teaching people how to play poker. And that was fun. I was like, okay. Well, the next night I'm on there and it's a game called Chuck Tingle Potato and Glass.
I'm
And
sorry. What?
exactly is what I said as well. It's some kind of crazy RPG D&D based game.
Uh-huh.
They I forget what they call them, because they call them one of the things a trot, which I think is your class. And I don't know, they have different names for things. It's interesting. But the four main types of characters they have is a human,
Uh-huh.
a unicorn,
Mhm.
a raptor, which can be dinosaur or bird, and Bigfoot.
I need to play this game.
Right? It was so some of them get recorded. I don't know if my best bits get recorded. Um, and then you can be a sneak, a wizard, a charmer, which is what I picked. And,
Hey.
different things like that, right? I thought it'd be hilarious, be this huge, strong beast, and like, but my strength is really low, so I just talk my way out of everything. Was my goal. I never played this game.
Who needs muscles when you have the word?
Okay, so I don't do acting like that. I don't do characters and go crazy. I
Yeah.
just haven't had the
Yeah.
opportunity, I guess, to play much with anything. And I'm at a table with all these strangers and Bob. I know Bob at the end, and that's it. And they all know each other, and they
Yeah.
played this game before. And they're all do. I'm like, I thought I was going to learn how. I thought someone was going to teach me how to play something. So
I'm just here bringing the vibes.
So I built my character based on Bob. His name is Bob Magoo, and he was on last week actually. And he writes Redneck Meth Wizards. And so my Bigfoot was McGoofoot, the redneck Bigfoot, who had a crippling version of Tourette's that comes out in the form of bad dad
Mhm.
jokes.
Oh my
And
god.
and man, I just laid into I got Chat GPT to get me some messed up references. So I was like, instead of saying sick 'em, instead of saying roll tide, I'd say sick 'em tide, and just mixing up things like ooh.
Woo.
And he every chance I got, I just dogged on him, and he went and hid in some train station, and a tornado blew it away. I was like, oh man, that tornado! What was my voice? I was like, man, that tornado didn't run you over like Tennessee ran over Alabama. Mind you, this is the middle of the Alabama game as it's going on. He's a huge Alabama fan, so he's like, ooh, what's the safe word? Say safe word. Safe word. 'Cause I'm triggered right now.
Pineapples. Pineapples.
Yeah, so we go on, and I just picked this power, and I don't remember what the power is called, but basically I call it cool story, bro, because you can cast an illusion by telling the story, and as long as you're telling the story, the illusion works.
Yeah.
And when it came to my turn, I say, okay, this is how it works. I'm like, okay, tell your story. And I put on that voice and I mixed every story Bob had told at the dinner the night before about his dating life and just spun it out there. And everybody was dying laughing. And when I got done, the person next to me who I just met like 30 minutes before, she's like, I need a whole panel of that. And
Yes.
like,
So there you
oh yeah.
go. So
It
you're
was
in.
yeah, it was so much fun. And I'm like, even on botched, the characters that they give me are usually
Yeah.
just kind of side little neutral I'm not
Yeah.
bot. I'm not out there doing the improv and the so it was so much fun. And Bob came up after just laughing. He goes, okay, that was brilliant. That was good, but also F you, man. F you.
This sounds like a new version of Roasted, where instead of you come and make jokes with people, you make up different RPG, TTRPG characters types
Based on
of the person, and they get more ridiculous as you go on.
but I feel like I need to kind of do the voice at least similar to
Yeah,
him a little
yeah.
bit.
There's
Uh,
got to be a connection. Ooh,
yeah,
that's good. That sounds like a really
it
good
was
time.
it was so much fun, a great first. Definitely would do it again. And it's a very fun con. I very much enjoyed
Nice.
being there.
Well, congratulations getting in.
Well, thank you. And you got to apply next
A
year. I think
labor of love.
yeah, yeah, 6 years. Oh, and that's okay. So why I didn't get in for 6 years is I
Mm,
kept pitching the same things I always pitch. Be awesome together live,
mhm.
wise and nerdy live, fandom face off, those kind of things. And now that I've been to the conference, I can say, oh, I mean, the whole time I'm going, yeah, there's nowhere it would fit. It's just it's not that kind of conference. They're not doing live shows. They're
Yeah,
not. They do some partying at night, right? There's karaoke and burlesque and stuff like that,
sure.
but they're not doing live podcasts. They're not doing
Mm,
game shows, and it just I get it. I get it now.
yeah.
So, but yeah, now I'm in, so I should be able to go back. So it's very cool.
Would you say you charmed your way in?
No, no,
Thank
no.
you. Thank you, everybody. It's been a
Hey,
fantastic night. Thank you. And
you're making
she has been banned from Be Awesome Together forever again. It was like, what happened to Venter?
forever again.
Don't
Uh,
ask.
yeah. Okay, so let's teach some things and phrase it for me because we went through the text. But what is it that your
Yeah.
students are concerned about right now?
So
What
this
is
is actually really interesting because, so for those of you who don't know, I teach several things in media and communication. Like almost anything you can think of, I'm teaching it. And in this particular class, it's devoted to like public relations, but it's usually your concepts class. So it can be a range between sophomores and juniors, which is really interesting. There are majority sophomores because it's this time where really this is the first course that really gets you set for a career course. Like 90% of the students are students who are interested in the career. The rest of them, like, I need 3 points of electives, and this class allows me to take it. In my opinion, a PR course, public relations and marketing courses are good for everybody to have. Try and get one of those because almost everybody needs to know some sort of promotions or marketing. And so the issue came up. We had a guest speaker. She was phenomenal. She was amazing. And she was all about career readiness. And she talked about how now is the time ready for you all to start working on your personal branding, right? Which really, the word personal is actually a misnomer because it is your personal
sure,
brand, but it's a personal professional brand, which I think, Charles,
right?
you and Tyra have talked about before. And I was like, yes, personal branding is what we call it, but it's really your professional personal persona that you put out there. And a lot of them kind of freaked out because they sat there and they asked themselves, like, well, to do that, I feel like I need to have skills and do things already. I feel like I need to have positions in this thing already to be able to put it on my LinkedIn, on a resume, and things like that. And so we had a couple students who were really anxious about, well, I only have a waiter job so far, or I've been a barista. I don't have internships yet. How do you get an internship if all you've had is just non-media communication jobs? And it's become quite an anxiety. And what was interesting is when I thought about it too, I'm like, it's not just young students who are thinking about this, mid-career professionals. I also work with adult learners. And the question always comes in, well, what happens if I want to move into a new career? What do I do then? Do I have to go back to school? What about all the schooling I've done already? How do skills translate into different places, and there's this obsession with what they seem to ask versus how people are translating that ask into their own skill sets, and some people not being able to make a connection between you
Yeah.
already have some stuff, the stuff that you don't have, what can you do? You don't have to go out and get a job necessarily to do the things, but it was trying to work with them and translating that in terms of what they could do, what they already had from their own jobs, and what they can do to get it as well.
A big skill that I believe I developed early on that is important here is, this isn't the right word, but from the world of music, it's interpolation, right? You
Yeah.
take something and you make it your own. And I have done that from watching TV and movies and people
Mhm.
and things, and learning. You could almost phrase it somewhat as learning from somebody else's mistakes, or
Yeah.
going, "Hey, what is that? That looks interesting. Let me go try that." I've said a million times, I became a paramedic ultimately because a night guard, security guard that worked with me at the college we went to, jumped out of the back of an ambulance. I thought that looked cool. And he's like, "Yeah, it's an easy job and you'll always get paid to do other stuff." So that's how I ended up with a 30-year career in being on an ambulance, because I tried it and I learned I didn't have the skills before. And
Right?
what we have to teach these kids is you don't get the skill till you learn the skill, but what excites you, what is interesting to you.
Yes. And then what people don't realize is when it comes to skill sets, there are typically two different categories. They are soft skills and hard skills. Soft skills are typically jobs that, well, skill sets that you can get almost any job, even in barista or waitressing or whatever it is. And then the hard skills are the technical aspects of a particular job, which you can sometimes get yourself, depending. Sometimes you have to make the space for yourself. I think it's easier today than when it was when I was younger. But that's because the space has changed thanks to social media and digital media and things like that. And so the soft skills are typically things like communication skills. Can you communicate with another person? Beyond that, can you actually communicate in a professional sense? Can you work in a team? Teamwork is massive still, right? So
Yeah,
communication, written and or oral, and being able to talk across departments and have professional conversations, not just email, but that you don't necessarily need a class to teach you that. If you are a barista, things like that, how do you talk to your
exactly.
customers,
Mhm.
right? And yeah, sure. When you've got some of your regulars, you dress up as Optimus Prime in the delivery boxes and you have a very different rapport with them. This could not be me years ago at Starbucks that I'm talking about. But, for those newbie, customers that you've never met before or the people that come in randomly, you're definitely not going like, hey, boo, what's up? There are professional personas, that people have. Hello, good afternoon. How can I help you? What can welcome to Starbucks? Those are things that people don't realize are skills. Those are skill sets
Yes.
that you just have to learn how to. You have to learn how to sell it.
Would you say, from what you've seen so far, and I'm not sure college age versus like my youngest are 12 and about to be 14,
Mm,
uh, but they tend to not want to talk on the phone. They tend to
mm,
text a lot. So are you seeing a communication gap of
yeah.
being able to text and actually then communicate directly with
Yeah.
words?
Yes, this is actually something that many job recruiters and people in communications have been looking at in terms of one of the arguments and issues that some people have in the higher up is one of the skill sets that they find is the most lacking is students being able to write a professional email. Because here's the thing, they want to write like they text.
Right.
The
Yeah.
problem is texting how you text to your friends or things like that is not the same. We don't use shorthand typically in email communication. And I would even argue that one now needs to learn how to text in a professional context because we do
Yes.
sometimes share phone numbers with each
Yeah.
other. And so knowing when and where it is appropriate to use certain kinds of emojis or what is not, how to emphasize your point very clearly versus making sarcasm or jokes like that. Yeah, when do you need to
Yes.
clarify that? And it's one of the issues that we've had. And there are research studies currently, psychologists who have looked at the effect of COVID, especially on children's communication gap for those kids who are now in this career era, well, even young teenagers to young adults, and how they have been affected communication wise. And we found that there is a gap in terms of them being willing to speak um in a speaking setting. So interviews have actually become more of a point of anxiety for young people and an issue for recruiters and people who have to be on hiring committees to do that because what people don't realize is that the cover letter is actually super important. It's the one thing that gets you in. After that, it's going to be that interview, and how you do on that interview can sometimes have much larger effect
Yeah.
than that cover letter. Oh yeah, Earth Station Boo, the Gen Z stare. Oh my gosh.
I've not had
Yes.
an issue with that because from what I've seen, I do all my research on TikTok, so,
Yeah.
there's that. But
I will listen, when it comes to Gen Z, that's the place to do it.
sure, and one of the things I saw was, like, this mock discussion between a Gen Zer and a Gen Xer or whatever,
Mm.
and they were explaining basically, like, you approach me, it's up to you to start the conversation. That's what I'm looking at. You're like, and the Gen Xer, of course, is like, "You're behind the counter, you're supposed to greet me." I've never had that issue because I never wait. I always like to walk up and start talking to somebody, like, "Hey, how you doing?" Be that personable person real quick before I order and just go, I have the number 1 with
Yeah.
you know, the only time I don't start the conversation is at the drive-thru because you gotta wait for somebody to go, "Okay, you ready?" You kinda deal.
Right.
And
No,
so
it's so interesting that
yeah,
you say that, because when so I worked at Starbucks for over 5 years when I was an undergrad. And even after I finished my undergrad, I got to work for a little bit extra time. And the training was, I don't know if it's the same today. I can't speak for today, but there's definitely a difference. When I was there, we were trained, you absolutely say hello to everybody who walks through the door. In fact, for the secret shoppers that we have for the test, that was one of the things on the grading rubric. Did you say hello in the first 30 seconds that they walked in? Or if it's a drive through, did you say hello? That was one thing too, right? Not just start immediately what can you get. It's like a,
right,
hi, welcome to Starbucks. What can I, hope you're having a good day. What can I get you with? It has been interesting because my dad is he's very traditional and very big about this, that he has found that young people do not say hello as customer representatives for a workplace when he walks into a place. And for him, it's like a real point of kind of respect,
sure.
right? And also, it does get, first of all, it also registers for him that they see him, that they register him. You're here. Yes, I see you. I will get you. Oftentimes, and I've heard this from other people too, is when you walk into a store and someone doesn't register you, it can kind of feel like you're being ignored and devalued. And so, from a customer, from a business perspective, we don't want our consumers to feel devalued. And you don't. It's not the consumer's responsibility to have to start the conversation. That's how I was not trained, and it's not how I certainly train my students when it comes to certain kinds of campaigns or things like that. Oftentimes you're the one who has to start the conversation and get things going to do the
Yeah.
persuasion. And so it's been interesting. I would absolutely say there is a difference, and it makes for some interesting uncomfortable situations at times. um because yeah, it's
So
crazy.
whoever talks first, usually in society, for whatever reason, psychologically has the power. And that's how you translate that skill from being a waitress, being a barista, being
Yes.
the whatever behind the kind of the forward facing customer service representative into social media, into digital media marketing, into whatever that next thing is. Because what it is you said get to the interview, right? And the
Yeah.
cover letters can definitely get you ahead of the game. I know that worked for me once. The only time I ever used one. The only reason I got an interview is because I got my department head to write me a recommendation to transfer departments, and that impressed them enough to at least talk to me, but they weren't going to hire me, which turned out to be
Mm.
fine and great. But being able to go in and say, "Hey, I just instantly jumped in. Hey, I'm Charles. I'm taking control of the conversation."
Yeah.
And that comes in very, very handy when you're trying to be on a microphone in front of somebody or a camera in front of somebody or speaking, or you get to that interview, you want to introduce yourself first as best you can because it breaks the ice. It just hearing your own voice, at least for me, makes me feel more comfortable. And then I'm listening to them. And that's what you were
Hmm.
saying, Victor, about is that communication of actively listening
Yeah.
what's going on.
Yes, and if you want to actively translate to, like, so one of the things that we have is that students will say, "Well, I work as a barista or I work in the restaurant industry." Things like, so how do I get the media skills? And I'm like, well, this is a space where sometimes you go to the place you work and you ask, who's doing the social media? Who's doing our digital media? Do we have
Yeah.
somebody doing video? Do we have somebody doing audio? And fine, if somebody is, see if you can get in on that, right? And if somebody isn't, ask the boss how open they would be to it. And there's two ways you can do this. And one thing that I tell students is, listen, one thing you got to think about is typically this means it's going to be a free thing, which sucks, But sometimes you got to invest. When we say invest in your future, so we mean that two ways. Both monetarily, sometimes you are investing your own money, and sometimes your time. And time is not always paid for. And so that's something that is true to when I was in school and made my own way for certain places and made some of my own opportunities versus even today. That's still true, right? And I tell my students straight up, like, you cannot always wait for your classes to get you that experience. Class is only going to be so much. You will only get out so much as what you put in. And you have to be willing, especially in media, digital media and media technologies and communications.
Mhm.
It's absolutely we invest some of our most of our personal time in free services. Then I don't have the science to back this up or the data, but I feel like it's almost more than most other majors. And people look at us and say, oh, humanities communication must be easy. I'm like, no, you don't understand. What you see in class is only one part of the picture. What we do outside to collect the skills, the hard skills that we need, then that's a whole nother picture. And so some of them, they didn't even realize that this was an option. To say like, oh, what do you mean? They're like, yes. Some bosses would be very open to saying, hey, we don't have someone doing the social media. Yeah, if you're willing to handle it, go ahead. Some
Yep.
of them may be willing to pay you. Some. I've had some students, some bosses have been very nice. Like, listen, we don't have a lot of money. We can pay you something. Others have like, listen, we can't pay you, but we'll add this in a recommendation letter. Or for example, we'll find a way at school to work it into like an internship to at least get them some credits for whatever it may be. And sometimes it's just free, but then you have to understand it's not for nothing. You are collecting, those are skills. And the one thing that I find that students have to then realize is, because some of them, we heard one actually works for an actual student organization in an actual department. They're producing media, and they said, well, I don't really have a professional job. And I stopped and say, what do you mean you don't have a professional job? You were creating professional
Yeah.
media. You
Yeah.
have a
Okay. Yeah.
supervisor, whatnot. You do. And so I realized
What's
there
not
is
professional? Yeah.
because they don't see it as a career position and they're a student while they're doing it. There's this misconception, this
Yep.
cognitive dissonance that it's not a job and therefore not skill sets being collected for the career. And I'm sitting there going like, it's all part of it. Yes, you
Yeah.
need to write all of that down. You need to collect all of that. You need to put that all in your portfolio, because that's not just for class then. But then I'm realizing, well, if they're like, I'm a barista and I'm doing the social media for my local coffee shop, but I'm not really getting paid for it. Therefore, it's not really a job. So I'm like, I can't really use it for my CV or resume. And I'm just
Why not?
I'm losing my brain over this. Like, what and sometimes it takes me, I do a lot of advising. And so what becomes so interesting is when you start to pull these things out of them and eventually a student drops this, but like, I don't have any experience. And eventually you get to that and you're just like, bury the lead much. That's
Yeah.
it. And it's interesting because it always shocks them. They always sit there for a moment going, oh,
So this is a version of what Tyra did and told me to do it. I haven't done it yet. I just keep forgetting which one will make a podcast about you, but there's AIs out there that you can feed it information and it'll have
yeah.
two people talking about you, whatever. But what I did do was I wanted to come up with some new about me's. And
Mhm.
so I saw it on TikTok a while back and I said, all right, I'm gonna try this. I said, told chat, this is like chat GPT version 3. So I probably should do it again. But I'm
Yeah.
like, interview me like you're the Rolling Stone
Yeah.
magazine.
Yeah.
And here's I'm gonna drop in my resume, this and another, and give me between 10 and 20 questions. And now, of course, I could talk to it, so I should do that because
Yeah.
it's fun to talk to things. But I did that, and then when it came back, it's okay. Here's the article. It's like, okay, cool. Turn it into an about me focusing on digital media. Turn it into an about me focused
Ooh,
on EMS. Turn it
that's
in
cool.
and then I just got crazy, like, write it like you're the New York Post, write it like you're this magazine or that magazine, People Magazine. And so I have a couple fake articles about me done in flavors, but yeah, I got the about me's I can then go and tweak better. So with these students, with
Mhm.
if you're going, I want to do digital media, but how do I translate that?
Mhm.
Just tell the free version of Chat GPT or whoever you want to ask. You say, hey, interview me like you're a magazine person or a boss looking to hire me for this kind of company,
Mhm.
whatever. And but make sure you ask me about skills that I should have learned in my lifetime
Yes.
or something like that, or could have learned.
Especially in connection to digital media, and you can even specialize. You can say
Yeah.
like if you know you want video editing, that's what you want to do. Put that in there. If you know that you want to be a news producer, right? Being a news producer versus a news anchor are two very different things. And so you can get specific to even put that down, or keep it generic in terms of like digital media and see what it spits out.
Yeah, so Earth Station Boo does right here. There's always a way to be compensated
Hmm.
in other ways too. I write for a site and get free access to things and products. There's that. I like to take the old 1970s motorcycle hitchhiker guide. Ass, gas, or grass. Nobody rides for free. And the ass part is, does it fulfill me? Because I'm the ass. I want to be taken care of. Does it fulfill me? Does it make me feel good to help you or to be a part of something? Right.
Yeah.
The gas, is it fuel my career? Is it giving me skills, turning soft skills into hard skills, or learning
Yeah.
another way of looking and learning at something and remembering
Yeah.
something that I can take forward? And the grass is money. It's just give me something green, so because you pay me for my time. And that's everything.
Hmm.
Not Nothing is free, not because we don't charge for it, right? It's if you go and do something truly for free and you didn't get anything out of it, no fulfillment, no money, no learning. Well, two of those three things are on you. The
Yeah.
money's
And
on them.
oh, you bring up
Everything
such a
else.
good point, because one of the things that I have to then warn students is, don't just offer up doing free services. And social media is a very common one. Oh, I'm doing social media for this person, they're letting me do the social media for them, they're letting me do my social media for them. And then I actually look at the type of person that they're working with and the kinds of things that they're asking, and I have to sit there and tell them like, okay, wait a minute, so they're doing this, they're not letting you do this, which is more what this is going to have. um this person might not actually be a good person to one work for. They might not be actually helping you produce good content or giving you the space to produce good content. They're just looking for free labor.
That's it.
There's something very different between somebody looking for free labor versus somebody who's like, yeah, I really don't have money to pay you, but I'm gonna give you the room to also do the thing that you need to do. And
Yeah.
so I know I'm going to get out of this, but I want you to get out of it too as well. So you tell me what you need to produce. I'll tell you what I need to, but you're the pro. You're the one who's developing the stuff and doing that. And so it's also a matter of like warning people, you don't have to work for free for everyone and just anyone. Be strategic about who you decide to give your time to, your effort, because it's free. And so it's like you said, you've got to get something out of it. It's got to feed
Yeah.
something, right?
So
And definitely, if it doesn't hit at least two of those three, I would say find someone else.
yeah. Oh yeah. The word exposure, that's as bad as it sounds.
Yeah,
It's
no,
it is the email equivalent of opening your trench coat. It is not worth it. Uh
yeah.
yeah, there's so many horror stories. Maybe for afterwards we'll tell some. But you triggered me when you said good between you talking about doing stuff for companies and
Mm,
going, "Hey, can we try?" versus somebody just wanting free labor.
mhm.
Uh, I was already thinking about this, and this is the offer I'd make to anybody right now because I really need a social media person.
Yeah.
And I will teach you, I'll give you at least an hour a week of my time to teach
Mhm.
you whatever you want to know, answer everything, help you in your life however I can, which is
Yeah.
in a lot of ways. And I'll do a written agreement because this is what I'm saying you should do. If you're working for somebody, go, hey, can I try to do this? You do a written agreement that says, if we
Yes.
start making money off the social media, TikTok, Instagram, whatever, I
Yes.
get compensated and then negotiate it. I would start asking for 35 to 40%, which is a lot. And the company's going to go, oh, yeah, sure, no problem, because they don't see a value in it. And then they're still going to get a big chunk even when the value comes in.
Yes.
Or they're going to see the value, go, how they'll negotiate. How about 20%, whatever you negotiate, but make sure this is on top of my hourly wages, right?
Yeah.
Because hopefully you're doing it because you're already working there. But that's an easy agreement to do because it might not make money off of TikTok, right? You're getting the value
Yes.
of gas. You're fueling the skills and learning. Oh, I made that mistake. I'm learning this. I'm learning that. So
Mhm.
on and so forth. But also, I have seen a number of fun videos where the boss is like, I just got money put in my account. It's like, yeah, our TikToks are doing really, really great. It's like, what are you talking? I just say this stupid thing
Yep.
when you say, like, yeah, and people are really watching, and then you will get paid.
Yes. I love that. Absolutely. In this day and age, having some sort of agreement where you're saying, like, hey, even if I work for free for now, let's make sure we have an agreement that if something changes, that there can be some sort of numerical value or return. And, if they don't want to agree to that, the good news about that is you can back out at any time then. As soon as it's making money, it sucks. You'd have lost. But then you say, you know what? I'm not making anything more for you until we change the agreement. And if they say it's not happening, then you can say, well, at least now I have something under my belt that I can prove has quantifiable measurement, because that's what we want to see too. Workplaces, they want, especially in digital media, the way that we can measure, you versus another candidate is your quantifiable data. Not just, I created this awesome podcast, I created this awesome social media. Cool. Okay. What's the big deal about it? What's the impact? Right? You can look at impact scores, like we in 3 months we got X amount of followers. In this much time we made this many sales. We made, you look at
Yeah.
those impressions, and you got to get that measurability in. And if you can get that, at least you're like, cool, thank you, I made this much money from this post. You have that is yours. Definitely don't just rely though on them keeping that post up.
No,
Make
keep a
sure that
copy. Yeah.
always keep anything you produce, make sure that you keep a copy offline, because if you leave and they decide they don't want that anymore, or for some reason they decide somebody new comes in and they want to move it, there's no guarantee they have that. So always keep everything on copy. But there is another direction that you can go about this too. You don't always have to go through someone else, right? Because when I graduated college in 2007, this idea of freelancing didn't exist. First of all,
Sure.
it
Yeah.
just wasn't a thing. You went and worked for an agency, or you went and worked for someone. And this idea also of creating content for yourself was not that big of a deal yet. And my dad and I, we were making podcasts before 2010, before the true crime podcast bubble and all of that burst. Like, we were there with everybody else with RSS feeds only before Apple. And we were just mucking around, seeing a new thing, thinking about what's it going to do. But it wasn't like, it was just a couple of people. Nobody knew what it was going to be. It's so different today. I tell my students too, if you want to get into the digital media space and you're looking to get skills, sometimes it's a matter of make your own content.
Yeah.
Develop your own brand, especially if you're interested in if a particular industry. I got lots of people right now very interested in beauty, fashion, sports. Guess what? Influencers are a real thing. You don't have to be a very big one, right? You don't even have to make money off of it. If the whole idea is you just want to situate yourself in a particular industry, but then also develop the skills that you need to develop and have a portfolio, sometimes having your own social media, your own digital media, whatever it is, start your own podcast.
Yes.
It's yours, but also it serves another purpose. You are also creating content that can go into your portfolio, and people will look at this. They will count that. In fact, sometimes they think it's even more impressive.
Well, it's so we talked. Let's go back to we talked about getting that interview and being awkward about it, right? And
Yeah.
there, well, guess what's not awkward? And guess what everybody does online? They search you up. Any good person will look at things and Google you. And if it's the type of company that you've been talking about, like say you're doing beauty stuff, but if you can just send a few videos through them, just a few links, like, hey, this is how I do when I talk about makeup or this or that or whatever. I mean, beauty can be so much more than just makeup. Um,
Sure.
but it gives a sense of personality, a sense of
Yeah.
style, a sense of thought process.
Yeah.
And I got yelled at by the owner of the company that I ran for having 45 minute to an hour and a half long interviews. So it's simple, just ask them for their numbers and get them on the truck. It's like, that's not me, because in an hour I can figure you out pretty
Yeah.
good. I could talk to you. I could break down your barriers. I could tell if you're going to be at least worth taking a risk on, because I
Yeah.
knew once you left my office and I said yes to hiring you, changing that course is difficult because I'm in the office and you're out in the field,
Yeah.
type of deal. Uh, but if I can go look at a video and see how you do, see who you are, give me some answers, that helps a
Yeah.
lot.
And there's so many avenues of that too, because you have to show that you've done research. You have to show that, like, hey, I'm making my own content, but I'm making content for an industry, for an interest, for an area that, yes, situates myself. I know how to present myself. Because here's the thing, when you're making content for yourself for funsies, algorithm don't care, nothing matters. Do whatever you want. Talk
Right.
however you want, whatever. Just make sure that nothing is private and careful what you say, because we don't want to get you canceled. But at the same time, you know what I mean, right? You can make crappy dance TikToks and it doesn't matter whether you are on trend or not, because personal stuff is just for fun. But when you are making content in a more, what I always call the strategic concept, when it becomes a professional context, whether that is, I want to build community, I want to make money, or I want to create a brand that will serve for my portfolio material, things change.
Yeah.
Things change because you need to be able to show then that you understand how the digital space, well, not just digital space, but everything that comes with it. Audiences, how do audiences work? How does that translate to content? How does different content type works? And so you need to be able to show that you have experience with, played around with, I've looked at my audience. Data tracking, do you then know actually how to go into your different social
Yeah.
media accounts, look at your data, and make key strategic decisions from that? That's not stuff you have to wait for to get a job. The only thing that sucks about it is it's time outside of your job. And I say this not to make it sound easy. I'm not trying to be flippant about this because I was there. I know what it's like. I would say that I think some kids definitely had it a lot harder than me and have it a lot harder. I got kids who are working 2-3 jobs. They are taking still 4 to 5 classes too at the same time, trying to do it out in the full time. Plus, many of them have a lot of family or other kinds of responsibilities. Some of them have become the carers for their family members. And
Mhm.
so to be able to go sit and say, well, just make your own brand. Oh, just go make your own content. It's so easy. It's not.
No, it really.
I get it. But if you're really, this is the thing about,
Mm.
this is the thing about wanting to get that dream. You've got to be, this is, and you're going to hear this from a lot of leaders. You're going to hear this from people, leadership talks, people who have got these positions that might sound absolutely crazy to us, right? You're going to hear that they're always going to talk about it took sacrifice. It took, coming home, taking care of the kids afterwards, after a full-time job, and at night doing the thing that I needed to do. It's still something that I'm not completely disciplined with. I've talked to Charles and both Tyra about lots of the rebranding things I know I've had to do for several years. And it's tiring and exhausting. Once you go to class, you teach, you've got meetings sometimes. The last thing you want to do after you have grading too that you need to catch up is think about your own branding that you need to do. It's like, come on, I just want to read K-pop Demon Hunters fan fiction and eat my ramen. Like, come on, right?
Yeah.
Um, but that's what it's going to take. And I don't care what age you are. That whether you are mid-career, whether you're late career doing that shift, late career adults are some of my favorite because they are some of the most motivated people when it comes to changing the stuff and doing the things outside of the time. And it's an insane amount of investment that you have to do. But if you want it,
Mhm.
that's what it takes.
And you make it sound so scary too a little bit. The insane amount of
I am not someone who is going. This is the thing, right? You hear a lot of the social media gurus out there, and those influencers who are like, "You're gonna make your first million in 6 months," or they phrase it as "could" because legally, right? It's like maybe you don't. I'm not gonna sit there and BS my kids. I tell them honestly when things are tough, but you got to be able to tell them like it's possible, but it's hard damn work, is what it is.
it is always work for whatever
Mm-hmm.
you want to get. Uh, I made time. Like I made sure to podcast around my wife's
Mm-hmm.
schedule, around my kids' schedules. One of my first live shows that I ever did regularly was on Wednesday afternoon at 1 p.m. in an era where nobody knew what live streaming was. Like legit, I had to be on a camgirl site just to have a outlet to put my
Y'all were ahead of the curve.
I
Ahead of the
was a
curve.
little bit, but at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, who
Mm-hmm.
what? And Facebook was the only way to promote you. Just like, "Hey, come watch me."
Oh, remember when Be Live was like the only
Yeah,
servicer you could get for any live streaming on Facebook?
yeah,
Now
and
look at us.
right, and, it's what she's talking about is the whole first year or 2 of bear crawling was me putting in a lot of work figuring it out,
Yeah.
learning the curve of how to get it out there, making the mistakes, learning how to promote it, being consistent, coming up with my stuff, and after 20 plus years of doing this,
Mhm.
I don't feel like I've had to have extreme sacrifice. I can
Mhm.
look back and say, "Okay, this trip I did this, or here's where I invested
Yeah.
in myself, invest in myself." And that's what I wanna kinda encourage people is if it's the right thing, then it won't feel like I said, hopefully you'll recognize and find that
Mhm.
balance. Like you don't skip every kid's game or you don't skip every
No.
anniversary or every birthday, but every once in a while, if you can acknowledge it and go, I've done that for a few of my anniversaries. Like, hey, I
Yeah.
need to go be at this conference and speak and hopefully build a bigger brand. And when I come back, we will celebrate our anniversary. My wife was cool with it.
Mhm.
More of them have been celebrated on time than not. That being said, especially with the college age and those getting into it, and
Mhm.
I like I said, I got to teach it at the conference here this past weekend. Oh, of all ages, when you get started,
Yeah.
just sit down and start figuring out who you are. You start
Yes.
talking into a camera. You don't have to post it. I mean, how many people talk about, well, I've kept this in my whatever it is on TikTok my drafts on Instagram and all that for a year. I guess I'll put it out now. But that the point is practice. You can
Yeah.
record on your phone. You can do different things. You can try and then watch with different mindsets. Watch other videos and go, if you laughed at why did I laugh at that? Why am I watching this past 30 seconds? Why am I hitting
Mhm.
like on this? And try to identify the things that you're attracted to.
Yeah.
Because if you can just be your authentic self by being the things you like, that's it. And I'm
It's gonna
telling you,
translate. It'll translate. Like, I'm
yeah,
gonna be honest, passion does carry a bit.
1,000%. I'm
Absolutely.
listening
Like,
to
it
my
won't get you through every single day. You're still gonna have some hard days where it's gonna feel like work. But if you really love it and you're really excited about it, you're really passionate about it, it's really gonna make it easier to do that. And so that's really something to be said about that. And registry. Like, yeah, it's not giving up. It doesn't have to be every day or all the time. There are some people who go to the extremes, like some of the extreme leaders you hear about. They'll talk about things that they've let go that I'm like, okay, you know what? I am not that. I want it. I don't want it that bad, nor do I need it that fast. But that's going to be for you to decide. Each of you have to make that decision for how bad you want something, when you want it, and when you want it to happen, and what that means in
yeah.
terms of what you are willing to give up or not at the
Mhm.
time that it happens. And that's going to be different for different people because I'll always still prioritize your mental and your mental health and safety. And there's some people who really take that to the extreme that I think we would be remiss if we didn't mention that too. Like, you got to
Yeah.
still take care of yourself while you do this. But it's absolutely doable to collect these skills when you don't have it. It's just, it takes investment and energy. And even if you're in college, and this is the one thing I hate when people say, well, if I have to go and learn this stuff outside of college, what's the use of you? Well, first of all, you have me. So while you go and learn these things outside of YouTube, you can still come to me. I try
And
and let my students know
perspective
I'm
and
there.
shaping, yeah.
Exactly,
And
right? You come and
yeah,
talk to us outside of
experience.
class. We're available. I would hope other professors are available too, because that's what we do. I advise tons of students on their own content they're producing for careers that we're working on helping them with personal branding. What kind of skill sets do you need? What classes are going to get you that? What classes aren't going to get you something, which means what do we need to then do outside of class? What do you need to go make? What are the resources? Sometimes my job is to help them sift through really crappy resources. I watch all the crappy YouTube videos. That, for those of you who do this without a college professor or whatnot or a guide, you're watching all those crappy YouTube videos first. Me, I already watch them for you and I give you the good stuff.
Yeah. I lived through the boom of viral sensationism on
Yeah.
YouTube, and a number of those creators a year in, 2 years in, that went viral overnight, they weren't ready, and they didn't understand what it took to not just build a business on this kind of recognition,
Yes.
but to also protect yourself and to protect your heart and everything else as well with
Yeah.
everything. And some of them ended up, ending it early, and some burned out,
Mhm.
and there was articles done on the study of all that and how we have to be more careful as a society and this, that, and the other. And I think about that, and I think about the work I've put in over the decade. So me and Gary V, right, Gary Vaynerchuk, we're very
Yeah.
similar, and we started off in the same areas of time.
Yeah.
His dedication and clarity of who he was is the big deciding factor between his career and my career.
Mhm.
Because I was learning from I read his book, Crushing It, and Crush
Mhm.
It. It's fantastic. And I can boil it down to crush is this.
Mhm.
It's the thing you would do at 2 in the morning, and when you're exhausted, as soon as it comes up, it's you're excited again. That's your passion. That's how you figure it out. And then it is about making even a little bit of time to give back to that community.
Yeah.
He would go work for his dad in the wine store all day long, and this and that. They got home and like put his little babies to bed, and he'd stay up for a couple hours just getting into communities and giving
Yep.
advice and giving to then ask back. And what my path took to 20 some odd years to figure out who I really was and what my message was and how I'm going to change the world,
Mhm.
what I'm going to do. And both of them are valid. And the whole time, he and I, what we had similar is we never let go of that vision. Is that's what you keep talking
Yeah,
about? The
yeah.
dream, the goal.
You gotta hold on to that. I
Yeah,
also love what you mentioned, and it brings it back to finding your communities and mentioning, yes, you've got if you especially when you're in school, you should have at least there's gotta be one professor out there who's gonna be there to help lift you up no matter what. Okay. I love being a cheerleader to my students whenever I can. But on top of that, too, like your professor is only one aspect. One other place that you need to look for, especially if you're a student at college, student clubs and organizations.
yeah,
Okay. All right. There is specific student media. Almost every university has student run media, whether it's a TV station, whether it's a radio station, whether it's a social media agency or whatever it is, or for example, a film club. Okay. They're almost clubs of everything and whatnot. If you also choose to say, hey, not only am I, let's say that you want to work in the esports, we'll use this one, the esports community, right? Maybe you don't want to be a professional streamer, but you want to work in esports. Well, what can you do? Well, guess what? You could learn how to produce live streams. Or you could learn how to run the social media for esports because you can still get in the esports industry with any of these different digital media talents, right? They're looking for photographers, they're looking for producers, they're looking for social media folks, community managers, right? So you tell your esports
yeah.
club crew, hey, I'm going to run our Discord. I'm going to figure out how to do all the Discord things. I'm going to run our Reddit. I'm going to run our social media. Like, guess what that is? That's
Social
the
media
skills you
management.
need for the
Yeah,
job. You're just doing it for your club and your organization, right? So it doesn't even have to be a digital media or media club. It can be your own club's organization. We have people who are in fraternities and sororities. Guess what? They have positions where they need people to do stuff all the time, right? And you've got a support network there. First of all, there are people that are really invested in wanting that content to do really well because it helps the network of the group, right? So you've got there. But especially if you're in digital media organization and groups, almost everybody is there to help each other and support each other and help learn with each other and make stuff. Find other students either in your college or even outside of your college. Sometimes I think students forget your world is not just your own major. There are other people in other majors who are doing other
yeah,
things, or believe it or not, might need your digital media stuff. Go to theater majors, go to dance majors. They would love to possibly get help recording this stuff or making social media or whatnot, right? But get together and say, what cool project do we want to do? Do we want to make something and find these different areas and pull them together and make the thing? And you'd be surprised. All of that translates then back to it. You're sitting there like, but Venture, it's not an actual job. It's skills. Your job isn't always looking for what jobs have you had. They're
yeah.
looking for what skills do you have. And you can put it down. You put it down as volunteer. It's not that works. The whole point is how do you translate what you did into the skill sets then for the job in the actual cover letter, right? That's the whole point. And that's something that but on top of that, it's finding then that network of people who are going to maybe not share the same dream as you, but have their own dream in that, but they're going to be willing to support you in yours. And you're going to create cheerleaders with each other. And that's so important. Finding people who are going to want to lift you up and not think, even if they think you're crazy, say, you know what, I think you're crazy, but I'm here for your crazy. And I'll help you out. I'll lift you up. And if it's people who are the same level of crazy of you and chaos energy, great, all the more, right? And it's not about stopping each other. It's like if somebody says, well, every time some of my friends come in and they do something, I'm like, yes, yes. It's not a okay, but it's a yes. And how do we make it happen?
Yeah.
Then you deal with the boundaries as you go, but find that person that yes ends, right?
Mm.
The improv, the yes and then build it. And there's many different ways that you can do that. From me to finding Discord groups online, to joining people like the digital media track, be awesome together. I've never found a group of more better supporters and educators, but also cheerleaders than in that group, right? So they're everywhere. You just gotta look and find. I think that's so important at the end of the day. If you
Yeah.
don't have that though, it's gonna feel so some people they like the isolation. I'm a big believer that media, especially in communication, is not an isolated space, and we do better when we create with each other and within support of each other.
And the whole balance to some of that is remember that no is a
Yes, boo.
complete sentence.
Yeah.
Yeah, Earth Station Boo said, Yes, and what do you need me to do?
What
Um,
can I do to help?
or how
Yes.
can I fit in, or what part? And honestly, the best projects is obvious. Oh, I want to do that part. But that's why I do say no, because there's so many things I can do, and I tend to get people excited. And but I'm like, it's just not for me, man.
And that's fair.
Sorry.
You've got to be able to register what isn't going to
Yeah,
work for you, what is. Sometimes it's just a matter of being there and telling them, hey, I love this. You could do this, consider this. But that doesn't mean that you need to be a fully active participant, right? But if you do find something that you like, then absolutely find a place where, like, hey, not only do I love this, but where can I fit in to help make this?
yeah.
And that's something too. You don't just have to do something just because you feel you have to do something. That's the one thing. Like with your support groups, be careful with your friends. Don't do something just because your friends want to do something.
It comes down to this, and then we'll jump out here in just a second. But it is what part of you is missing in that project.
Ooh, I
What
like
flavor are you putting
that.
on? And if I don't feel like I can, and that's a paraphrase of what I used to watch Shark Tank. Uh, uh, some of them would say, I see it, I love it. It's I just don't see where I can add to it. It's not for me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that kind of thing. And that's such a beautiful way to reject it is going, I go for it. How can I support you? But I don't see a flavor of me there. But if you look for what part of me is missing and that what would I want to see if I was just a listener, consumer, whatever
Mhm.
of this, what would speak to me? If it's not there, that's what you're bringing to the table.
Yeah. That's a great way of putting it. I love that.
So, Venter, tell them where they can find you on the interwebs.
I'm pretty easy. I'm almost too easy to find. You can find me by even looking up just Elaine Venter in Instagram and LinkedIn. I should be EL_Venter, VENTER, enter with the V. On Instagram, where I'm most active, to be honest. LinkedIn, I'm there. I sometimes post. That's more for my work that you can actually see that I do at my work, but I'm more than happy to add you there in a professional sense. And those are the two main spaces that I am active in. And I'm also on Discord in the digital media track group. And you can find me there as well.
And teaching amazing things to amazing people.
I hope so. That's that. They still keep me around, so maybe I'm doing something right.
I think you are. Linktree is linktr.ee/rgop42. Rock out of podcasting, and because 42 is the answer to life, universe, and everything. Of course, we've got Linktree/be awesome together, where we're at 80, like 6 likes on our Facebook page. We just need a few more so we can go live on Facebook. So get out there and like us and bring a friend. Come out live, ask your questions. Next week, I think Lane and I talked about a bunch of different topics today. I think we're going to tackle one next week about Spotify and how they are focusing
Ooh.
videos. So I'll get that to Tyra early. We can both do some research on that. And but yeah, we love to have your topics in. However we can, we will help you be awesome. So let's go be awesome together. Thank you, Venter, for popping in and
Thanks
bringing
for
that
having me.
venti sized cup of espresso. We really appreciate it. All right, next week, Tara will be back. Hopefully, and it's going to be
Get
fun.
well soon, Tyra.